It seems that these days, hacking is everywhere in Fortnite. Rampant aimbotting in tournaments, most notably in Zero Build. Reload mode cash cups with leaderboards entirely composed of cheaters, quote-unquote silent cheaters that use less blatant hacks such as wallhacks and soft aim in order to optimize their gameplay, and it has even gotten so bad to the point where professional players are playing with legitimate cheaters. But what happened for Fortnite competitive to devolve into this? Where did this all begin? And what were the first hacks in Fortnite like? From being an all but once blue moon event in 2018 to the normality it is now, this is the entire history of hacking in Fortnite. Fortnite Battle Royale released on September 26, 2017, in an effort to capitalize off of the 2017 Battle Royale craze. At that time, Battle Royales were all the rage in the gaming world and everyone was playing them. This meant two things. First is that Battle Royales quickly became the easiest way to gain attention and potentially make a career out of gaming. With all the top streamers such as Shroud, Dr. Disrespect, and Summit1G playing Battle Royale games, there was no shortage of eyes on the genre. And second, because the genre was relatively new, this made it vulnerable to cheating. Combine this with the popularity, and even in its earliest days, only 1 week after release, Fortnite already saw plenty of hackers. These players adopted the most basic of hacks, which were aimbot and wallhacks. Many people documented their experiences playing with and fighting against these hackers, and it was pretty standard stuff, just shooting players across the map and never missing shots. What made these even basic hacks so bad back in the day though was that the headshot multipliers were still busted. The Scar did 98 headshot damage back in those days, so nobody was safe from hackers. However, Epic Games of course knew players were going to try and hack, so quickly, most of these people would be banned, with many instances of cheaters being banned mid-game being posted on YouTube. Another nuance that helped with the hacker problem back then was friendly fire. Hackers weren't safe from their teammates and squads, as those with a functioning moral compass could take action into their own hands and down their hacking teammates. In a blog post made on October 4, 2017, 1 week after release, Epic employee Nathan Mooney detailed Epic's priorities when it came to hackers. He stated that Epic were taking undisclosed steps to combat the cheating problem, as well as introducing progression and account rewards to discourage people from throwing away accounts they sank so much time into. And while these measures were somewhat effective, cheating continued. A new type of cheat began to take shape, one that allowed players to completely circumvent the build grid and spam builds everywhere and anywhere. Now, this must have been a very obscure hack since clips of it are almost non-existent. It seems that once Epic got a foothold on stopping hackers, the more outrageous hacks that straight up broke the game were now impossible to abuse. However, this didn't stop hackers from getting creative. Around the turn of the year, hackers found a way to remove all delay from pickaxe swings, essentially turning your character into a mini bulldozer. And a few months later into 2018, when Fortnite was at its peak popularity, some of the deadliest hacks of all began to spring up. Around this time, many instances of hackers just wiping the entire lobby with the press of a button while floating under the map's surface. And while they were few and far between, when it happened, it was a spectacle. However, it was around this time Epic would finally get their anti-cheat sorted and it would become some of the best in the gaming industry. The developers made a post on Reddit about the improvements to the anti-cheat, and while all was good, one change caused a few issues for legitimate players. Epic's anti-cheat systems kicked players that were experiencing network issues. While fine on paper, in practice, weird things began to happen. But this was usually limited to rare cases, so nobody was really mad about it. But around this time, Epic were preparing to launch their first competitive experiments, and this only motivated hackers to try harder, just like how you guys can motivate me to try harder and create more videos by liking and subscribing if you so wish. In July of 2018, Epic debuted their first tournaments, being the Summer Skirmish and later the Fall Skirmish. However, these tournaments were invite only, so the potential for hacking was 0 to none. However, in October of 2018, Epic announced the first open tournaments that would be hosted in the Compete tab. These tournaments would later become known as Pop-Up Cups, which were weekly tournaments with experimental formats in order to trial potential ways competitive would work in the future, and this is when hackers finally got their chance. Every player was jumping on to play these cups, and hackers were there to ruin it, but no one hacker was more infamous than CIA.gov. Throughout late 2018 and early 2019, a mysterious player by the name of CIA.gov terrorized all tournament lobbies in the NA region. He primarily targeted big streamers such as Tfue, 72 Hours, and Poach, but would occasionally play to ruin others' games as well. What made CIA.gov unique among cheaters were his hacks. CIA.gov would bring the next evolution of hacks to the scene in 3 ways. First, CIA.gov would somehow be able to abuse the newly added creative mode and turn on island edit in regular battle royale. This enabled him to fly around the map at will, but if he somehow couldn't do that, his second ability to take full control of vehicles could do that as well. CIA.gov was able to mount quad crashers and essentially turn them into airplanes, using it to bump and juggle players into the air so they couldn't stop him. But third, and most insane of all, he could respawn. Yes, respawn in a battle royale, before reboot vans mind you, so even if you managed to kill him, he would simply respawn again and again until he got what he wanted. This likely goes back to him being able to enable island edit. However, not long after his hacking reign, he would disappear. Since he never promoted any social media, nobody really knows what happened to him. Obviously, he probably got banned, but that begs the question of why he never came back. Along with CIA.gov was another infamous hacker, Aspect Dolphin. Aspect Dolphin usually did the same things as CIA.gov, and was also well known among pro players for stream sniping them in tournaments. But after a failed attempt to expose dubs for cheating, Aspect would be suspended off Twitter and disappeared shortly thereafter. But anyway, with the World Cup on the horizon, Epic Games truly dialed in their anti-cheat and it was rock solid. The World Cup qualifiers went by without a hitch, and for the next few years, Fortnite remained on top when it came to combating hackers. Most players around this time would only run into hackers once or twice a year at most, myself included. However, around the start of 2022, things would begin to falter for Epic Games. In March of 2022, Epic Games released a zero build mode along with zero build tournaments, and this was a goldmine for hackers to say the least. Zero build players cannot build to protect themselves from aimbotters, which made hacking rise once again. Along with this, professional players began to get exposed around this time for using soft aim and other less blatant hacks, with the most notorious example of this being NA Pro Dusky when he got banned in May of 2022. And as time progressed, the issue only got worse. As zero build competitive rose in popularity and more money was dumped into it, hackers would take to the mode and cause terror. It was now a common occurrence to spot a hacker or two in zero build tournaments, a far cry from how Fortnite once was back in 2019, and not even LAN tournaments were safe either. In June of 2023, an actual hacker using aimbot made it to the DreamHack Dallas LAN and ruined the entire thing. While it was later found out the hacker wasn't actually at the LAN, this event gave the green light to many hackers going forward that they could really get away with anything. And from this point on, Fortnite had struggled to combat hacking. For the next year, all tournaments, but mostly zero build tournaments, would be filled with hackers, mostly aimbotters and wall hackers, but even new hacks began to spring up. Some of these hackers had fly hacks as well as speed hacks, and these were only the blatant hacks, as many people took the less obvious hacks such as hacks that removed the timer from reboot vans and infinite ammo hacks. At this point, it wasn't uncommon to see hackers play out entire finals lobbies of tournaments without being banned. This issue eventually came to a boiling point with the debut of reload tournaments. Aim was an important aspect of doing well in reload, as farming kills off of players respawning was the easiest way to rack points. So now full squads of hackers began to queue up in reload tournaments and milk the prize pools from them, and somehow, someway, despite being extremely blatant, they were never banned. It would only be after pros rioted on Twitter that these hackers would get banned. It got so bad to the point where the entire top 10 of some Reload Cash Cup leaderboards would be comprised of hackers, and despite Epic's supposed anti-cheat improvements, this issue doesn't seem to be getting any better. This has led to what is possibly the saddest outcome of all, where we now have signed professional players intentionally playing with hackers. Nobody has faith in Epic Games anymore, so pros are now resorting to joining the hackers rather than suffering against them. And this is where hacking in Fortnite is at now. From once having the greatest anti-cheat in all of gaming to now having more hackers than your average Team Fortress 2 lobby at the peak of its botting crisis, Fortnite has had a tumultuous history with hackers. And while the outlook is bleak right now, I'm sure Epic Games will eventually get a hold of the issue. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see similar content, then like, subscribe, follow my socials, and check out the video on your screen now.